So I've now owned James Bond's budget watch, the San Martin Water Ghost, for over a year now. So today I'm going to be talking about what I've loved in that time, what I've hated, what I've changed, and what is my plan for this watch going forward. So let's jump into it. So before I begin the video, this is actually being recorded on a weekend, so I want you to relax and treat yourself for getting through that arduous week. You are now invited to indulge in any sort of beverage that you desire. Now that may be a coffee like me, or it may be slightly something a little bit stronger if you're of legal age. Now that's up to you though, and I want you just to grab something that's nice and comforting, sit back, relax, take a deep breath, and enjoy today's video. So now let's jump into it. So let's talk about why I bought this watch to begin with. Well, it started off because I really like James Bond. I like the old James Bonds, the Sean Connery era, and I really liked the old Rolex Big Crown that he used to wear in films like Thunderball, Dr. No, and many others. The reason I like this film so much is because it's just, I don't know, simple, nostalgic. It sort of takes you to an era that I was never a part of, so I like it for that. And I just wanted that piece of that era, that beautiful watch. Now, unfortunately, it's a little bit out of my price reach, and I don't think it's going to be in my reach anytime soon, retailing at about 100 grand, maybe even more now. So I instead opted to go for a San Martin, a homage to that watch that looks absolutely fantastic and delivers a lot of that sort of nostalgia for a tiny fraction of the price. So what I've found with owning this watch is that it's actually a remarkably good go-to sort of beta watch. Now, not as in that I would take this climbing or anything, but this is a great watch for going to the pub, going downstairs and casually just throwing on a film, sitting down and relaxing. It sort of fits any environment like that. It's not massively dressy, but at the same time it's more dressy than a G-Shock. So it's definitely a good watch to have in your collection, and one that I'm definitely going to keep for a long time to come. This watch is no means perfect though, and there were quite a few modifications I've done to this watch, starting off with the biggest and one that I think aided most heavily in my enjoyment of this watch, and that is removing one of the hands, the second hand. Now why I did this is because I felt like the lollipop on the second hand was just too big in comparison to the hour markers and the rest of the watch really. I felt like it wasn't really accurate to the original watch that is based off, the Rolex Big Crown. In that watch, the second hand is a lot smaller. So I just thought, well, why not remove it? So I opened up the case back, removed the crown, removed the movement, and took off the second hand, just prying it off with a basic tool. I'm no means a watchmaker, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I got the second hand off okay without damaging most of really anything else. I mean, I may have left a slight scuff on the dial, but I'm okay with that. So yeah, I was actually really happy with the result, and I feel like this watch is more enjoyable for me because of that. I don't know what it is, but without having that second hand, it just feels slightly more elegant and a bit more retro. I really do enjoy it. I think it's quite nice to have a watch in your collection without a second hand. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. So the next modification actually doesn't come to the watch itself, but on the strap. So basically what I've done is taken a double pass NATO strap and cut off this double pass so that it doesn't ride so thick on the wrist. Now, this is quite a basic procedure. Basically anyone could do it. All you have to do is unwind the double pass, cut it off, and then sear it with a flame. That's all I've done, and it's just worked perfectly. It doesn't change really the aesthetic of the watch. It just makes it not so pronounced on your wrist, and I think that just makes it a lot more enjoyable because I don't want it riding high when this watch isn't really that thick. So the NATO strap does add that little bit of thickness, and if I could take that down a notch, I think it looks a lot better. So what are my plans for the future? What do I want to see happen to this watch going forward? Well, that's quite simple really, not really too much. I really love this watch and I feel like I've gotten it into a really good place. So the only thing I want to change about this watch is getting another NATO strap. Now, I'm really happy with this one, but I do feel like the quality does lack a little bit in areas. I mean, the buckle isn't anything special, and I mean, the quality of the NATO fabric is nothing to write home about. It does fray in places, so if I could buy myself a really high-end one, I think that would be a noticeable upgrade and something that would be a long-term investment that would pay off hopefully. So that's the only real thing I want to try out. I may actually try and look at changing the colours of my NATO straps on this watch, but you may be thinking, why don't you try different types of straps? Why not just like a leather or something? But I don't know, this watch just seems to suit NATO's. I really can't pinpoint why, it just looks fantastic on them. But that's all I really have planned for this watch going forward. Now the only other question there is left to ask is, would I recommend this watch a year later? Yes, I would, absolutely. This watch is still fantastic value for money, and it is just an amazing watch. Now there are some drawbacks, obviously I discussed in my original review, things like the AR coating just being non-existent, so this watch has a lot of distortion as far as under the sun goes. So much blue comes off this watch, you'd think you're looking at the sky. But the other thing is that it has got quite a lot of distortion at angles because of that domed sapphire crystal. But I love it regardless. I think the gilded hands on this watch makes it an absolute treat to look at, and that serif styled logo, oh, just perfection. Looks amazing, and I just think this watch is just a great watch to add to the collection. If you're on the fence, just pull the trigger, you won't regret it, I promise you now. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Until this video, goodbye.